Greetings, everyone, following along with our Advent reflections as we journey through this season of Advent. We're at Tuesday on week 2 of Advent, and remember the theme for this week is practicing honesty. And today, Kathy invites us to sit with the idea of grief. Grief is something that has touched almost all of us. We all have an experience with grief. And in fact, just looking at my own self, so often when I'm angry, we talked about anger yesterday, the more I reflect on my anger, the more I see that anger is really just a manifestation of grief that I don't know how to deal with. And that's the case for many of us because we don't like necessarily sitting with grief. But today I invite all of us to reflect on this idea of grief.
Yeah. Kathy's questions were, what's causing pain right now? No matter how big or how small. What are you grieving? What is your heart breaking over? And as I sat with this question, it's pertinent that you mentioned that sometimes your grief and your anger are related. I think my answer is very similar to my anger answer from yesterday. It's related to COVID. I've been working on our annual photo book for our family, and there's usually a page for all the wonderful things we did with extended family. There's usually a page for the zoo, for the aquarium, for other adventures out and about with people. There's usually pictures of all of my wonderful church folks engaging with my kids, holding them, teaching them love and diversity, playing in the gardens with them. There's usually just so much, and a protest page, and this year's protest page reminded me that the only protest we were able to participate in, I watched a middle-aged woman purposefully drive into protesters, peaceful protesters, and so just nothing as I'm trying to put this book together, and it's really opened a door for me to sit with my grief, and in that way I'm grateful for it. Dan Allender says, if you can't grieve, you can't hope. So I'm sitting with the grief of this year, and letting even acknowledging it be a balm, the beginning of healing. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I likewise, just the pandemic, the isolation, there's so much to grieve right now. But I find, and I see this in my work, advocating for neighbors that live on the street, that there's something in being able to grieve together that does instill hope. There's something that comes when I sit down with somebody who tells me their story, and it's awful. And my gut reaction is to be like, it's going to get better, it's going to be okay. But when I'm able to sit with them and just be like, that sucks. No one should have to go through that. And just grieve with them. Something happens in that moment that allows us to better move forward. So I invite you to reflect on this question. What is causing grief right now? It doesn't have to be huge. It can be something small. Right? Grief is not a contest. But I invite us all to reflect. What are we grieving right now? And how can we respond to that grief?